Call the order, remember, and we didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the September 23rd, 2024 regular meeting of the Catawba County Board of Education. Officially calling the meeting to order. Momentarily, we will stand for a moment of silence, after which the colors will be presented by the St. Stephen's High School Navy Junior ROTC under the direction of Master Sergeant William Cashmore. And then once the cadets post the colors, Mr. Don Sigmund will lead us in the pledge. So if you would please stand, join me in a moment of silence. Right. Good. Colors. Ready. Cut. Forward. Mark. Forward. Colors. Ready. Cut. Ready. Read. Arm. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. And now I'd like to invite Master Sergeant Cashmore to tell us about his squad here tonight.
Well, I would like to thank the members of the board for inviting me here. All of you are here. Each one was volunteer to do. Nobody forced them to do this. They don't get any extra points, extra grades. They're doing this because of their pride for their home. They actually, we're trying to build a bigger program. We're trying to get ourselves out there. These are the ones that are going to make that happen. I know that for this time, Paul's first, he's actually doing this to get voted. He didn't get voted in this program. It's his first time. These cadets have really, we've been working together for a couple of years. We've already been to school garden, and in that time frame, they've already done an inspection, or annual management inspection. We did pass the flying company. They've been absolutely looking forward to getting the results back. Please sit down, watch the class. And we've already done a high school visit. We're getting ready to do rec TV. This week we have drill league this week, and then later on we have drill, which is that person. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate you inviting us. Thank you.
Master Sergeant, you're welcome. And cadets, thank you. You are the first color guard this school year to present. So thank you for kicking us off and being our guinea pigs for tonight. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Good. No. Right. Hey. Hey. Oh. Oh. Right. Board members, at this time, we will seek approval of the minutes from our August 26, 2024 meeting, and also June 24, 2024, which were amended. There was a correction under new business number 9, page 11. I think there was a typo that was discovered. Number of years in that line should have been 40, not 4. So that's reflected, and we would seek approval of those corrected minutes as well. So I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve as presented with the amended.
Thank you.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Abernathy, second by Mr. Settlemyer. All those in favor of approval of those minutes, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous of those present. This time I'll recognize Dr. Stover for adjustments and approval of our agenda.
Thank you, Chairman Taylor, members of the board. We are asking for an addition to consent number 2 tonight for overnight and out-of-state field trips. Fred T. Ford High School FFA was just officially informed on Monday that they made the FFA national competition in Indianapolis. They didn't expect to be in the competition, and so we are asking for our 2 students and our teacher to go to Indianapolis. The students will also be accompanied by their parents. And Bandy's High School is also there, but they're not competing with several other high schools from around the region, and they're taking a bus out there. So that one's already in there. But just want to let you know that we will have another school out there. I do apologize for the late request. However, we were just notified on Monday that they had the opportunity to go. It will be paid for by the National FFA Convention, and any difference would be CTE, but we think most of the cost will be covered. We already had closed session today, so we ask that you remove it from the agenda as well.
Okay, thank you. You've heard the adjustments to the agenda presented. That would be the addition to consent number 2 that Dr. Stover described, and removal of the closed session from this evening's agenda. I will entertain a motion on those adjustments and approval.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as stated by Dr.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Settlemyer, second by Dr. Barnett. Any questions about that? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the adjustment for that agenda, please signify by raising your hand. That again is unanimous. Superintendent's report, Dr. Stover.
Thank you, Chairman Taylor, members of the board. If you'd meet me out front, we'd like to honor our employees of the month. All right, Chris Geddes, we'd like to recognize you. If you'd like to come up too. Chris I can't remember how long you've been sponsoring this, 5 years? Yeah. Homes for Heroes gives a gift certificate, and we have a plaque for employees of the month each month. And Homes for Heroes helps support teachers and other educators that want to buy a house. They give them discounts on loans to make their life a little easier to repay them for their service. I think you also do EMT, other public servants as well. So we're thankful they chose to be with us here in Catawba County. So thank you, Chris. Our first employee of the month for Catawba County Schools for the 2024 school year is our assistant principal from Bandy's High School, Leslie McIntosh. Please come on up to be honored. So Ms. McIntosh has been a valuable asset to Catawba County Schools as a teacher, as a coach, as everything, an assistant principal. She does a wonderful job at Bandy's High School. Most notably, some extra time that her and her bus drivers have put in to make the routes go smoothly. Just the relationships that she has with students, the relationship she has with our EC department, all she does for them. Dr. Maynard, thank you for a wonderful write-up of Ms. McIntosh and supporting her and her career. And so, Ms. McIntosh, we appreciate you and thank you. Our next employee of the month is Mr. David Ryle. He is our CTE teacher and co-athletic director at Riverbend Middle School. Come on up. So Mr. Ryle has also been with Catawba County Schools a long time. He was a teacher at Oxford and then went to Riverbend to be our CTE teacher. Has done a wonderful job in our Paxton Patterson lab. And most notably recently, he was our co-athletic director with Miss Hilton. And we know that Miss Hilton, unfortunately, is going through cancer treatments. So Mr. Ryle has picked up all of it without knowing any of it. And so just done a wonderful job. And with the help of all of our staff across the district, I was with Mr. Barham at St. Stephen's Elementary School. He'd just gotten off the phone with Dave and just to tell him how to do things because, you know, Miss Hilton had been there and doing a great job, but Mr. Ryle was coming on board to help there. But we're super thankful for his service. Also thankful for Mr. Bird, new to Riverbend this year too, and all you guys are doing to help Mr. Ryle and just notably keeping Riverbend staff in our thoughts and prayers during some difficult times right now. So, Mr. Ryle, thanks for holding up the ship. You've done a great job. That is a pirate ship, pun intended. Okay, so next is our classified employee of the month, and you want to talk about holding up the ship, is Amy Sigmund. Come on up. This is our district data manager. So we call her Amy L. Sigmund, but we are so thankful for her. We have transitioned to a new student data system. She has led that for the system with very little support and or direction because basically the way this was implemented was with videos, and between her and some other staff that have pulled together, we have rolled out the new student data system. So as we and as Amy would say too, this award is for her leading it and all our data managers in the system. Countless hours of comp time and Sundays and Saturdays and Friday nights and all the times you don't want to work, they were working. And because of that, our schools are up and running. So Amy, we greatly appreciate you. And we like your husband too. Sean's in maintenance supporting you tonight. We're thankful for Sean's segment too. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank y'all. Great job.
At this time, I will recognize our board attorney, Crystal Davis, for our public comment.
this time, excuse me, I'm not that tall. At this time, the board will convene the public comment section of the board meeting. Members of the public are welcome to, who have signed up, are welcome to speak. We have 3 people who have signed up. I want to remind you that each person has 3 minutes to speak. I'd ask that you identify yourself by your name and the topic that you intend to talk about. And in addition, we would ask that you direct your comments from the podium here and the microphone to the board, that you be respectful at all times of not only the audience here in the room, but also of other speakers, and that and understand that we do have a board policy that any displays of approval or disapproval are out of order unless they're otherwise directed by the board chair, and avoid any slanderous statements towards any members of the public or Catawba County Board of Education member. So at this time, we would call, or the first person who signed up is Charlie Shepard to speak about Title IX.
Charlie Shepard, Title IX. First, I'd like to say that I lost my notes that I found. We'll make it work. I was here earlier today, and I understand we're going through having jumped through some hoops for Title IX. So I jotted something down. Tragically, American culture has an opinion, of course. Tragically, American culture has seemingly abandoned common sense and morality. Our public school systems are teaching gender affirmation to young, impressionable children, and traditionally, gender-specific activities like sports are being blurred, often against the participants' wishes. Kind of like the Olympics, we had men. What do you call it? Men beating women as a sport in boxing. Anyway, this crusade against common sense is being led by the Democratic Party, with its progressive ideologies negatively impacting citizens across the nation. The Biden administration is illegally pushing this transgender ideology, trying to force Americans to accept it through an expansion of Title IX. This expansion has been fully blocked by 26 states. North Carolina's current Attorney General, unfortunately, did not join the suit to block this expansion. This is why we need to elect Dan Bishop as our Attorney General. Of course, my opinion. Maybe stop this madness. Although Donald Trump promised to say he will reverse the expansion on day 1, Catawba County is being threatened by the current administration to withhold approximately $20 million federal dollars if we don't comply. I'd like to personally thank Moms for Liberty for joining the Kansas lawsuit, so that any member of this organization can join the suit and protect their school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard. All right, next is Kimberly Turk regarding IC.
Good evening. Kimberly Turk. IC stands for Infinite Campus, which we just heard about. I refer to it as IC since it is IC, and that is how most of us currently feel about it. It does have a lot less functionality than we are used to. For example, when students are moved from one section of a course to another, from my first block to my second block, their grades disappear. We're not able to do attendance the day after, which is a big problem for our online courses. We've had to stop taking attendance in this program. When I'm with my students for advising, I can't figure out which days they have or have not been present because of the way it looks in IC. I'm not able to see their behavior records, so I don't know if this is the first, second, third time they have cheated. So I don't know which type of write-up I should do in those instances. EC is noted in IC, but it takes about 15 clicks to find it. ESL and 504s are not visible at this particular point, which makes it hard for me to identify these students. The teacher across the hall who has children in our system was not able to see her children's information for the first 4 weeks of school. Students cannot see their GPAs. We can no longer see the students' birthdays. If the student is in a fifth period, or if the same class meets twice in a day, such as when we have tribe time, we cannot take attendance for the fifth period class or for tribe time, because if we do that, it actually messes up their attendance for the entire day and they're counted absent in classes that they were in. All of these are things that I'm sure that we're going to figure out how to fix. The problem is it has much less functionality than what we were used to. And it comes with a learning management software that Mr. Sharp told us about a few months ago. We currently use Canvas at $70,000 a year. IC has one that's included. But with the low functionality of IC, I beg you not to do this. Do not take away our Canvas that we've now used for 4 years. We have a vibrant online learning program with our students and our teachers. We don't have to put those kids into our virtual academy for the state. That money stays here for those kids. We would have to rebuild all of that. I promise you, if you get rid of Canvas, we will not be first on the teacher learning survey the year after you do that. I also noticed on today's agenda, you talked about advertisements in mailboxes, and I would like to point out, I've gotten advertisements from both political parties, teaching organizations, car companies giving me discounts, Office Depot, and lots of other places in town. I get a lot of advertisements in my mailbox at school every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Turk. Diane Arbor, regarding candidate forum.
Greetings, school board members and citizens. I'm Diane Arbor, and I'm here tonight representing the League of Women Voters of Catawba Valley, which is a nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering voters. I'm here to remind board members and citizens of the scheduled candidate forum for the Catawba County School Board on Tuesday, October 8th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the CVCC Workforce Solution Complex at 1980 Startown Road in Hickory. Candidates will have the opportunity to speak, and voters will have a chance to ask questions of the candidates. Some of the board members participated in the 2022 candidate forum. The forum will be moderated by Eric Millsap, the regional editor of the Hickory Daily Record. League of Women Voters of the Catawba Valley urges all to attend the forum to hear directly from your candidates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Arbor. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the public comment section of the board meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Now we'll recognize Dr. Stover for consent items.
Thank you, Chairman Taylor. In front of you are our consent items. We are asking for your approval this evening.
And board members, you have already heard the changes to the Fred T. Ford request. There are 3 others listed there, and I think you're all familiar with those, having looked at them earlier today. So at this time, I will entertain a motion relative to the consent items.
Motion to approve consent items as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Abernathy,
A second.
and second by Mr. Shettlemeyer. Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments relative to any of the consent items? Hearing none. All in favor of approval of the consent items as presented, signify by raising your hand. And again, that is unanimous. Thank you. We now move to the unfinished business section of our agenda, and I'll recognize Mr. Dan Moore for construction updates.
Thank you, Chairman Taylor, members of the board. We'd like to continue to show the progress at Maiden Elementary School. We have a few photos that we'd like to share. And as I spoke earlier today, the media center is basically done. And so we're going to get a walk back in time and see what it looked like 2 weeks ago. The kitchen and cafeteria is coming along. We should be able to access the entirety of that area very soon. We no longer will have to prepare meals up the hill and bring them down to the school. So we're excited about the progress there. Here's some photos of shelving also being installed and more equipment being installed in that kitchen area. Here you see display cabinets that are in the commons area between the cafeteria and the gym. The glass has now been installed in those. That was a temporary placeholder with that board that was in those cabinets. Media Center is, as you saw earlier today in a photo, we're moving in the actual books, the shelves, the carpets in, everything's in. It looks great, and hope to open the Media Center later this week. And I think that is it. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. One note, no, there's more than,
Clemens did send an email yesterday that they're going to open the library to the students tomorrow.
excellent. That'll be great. Sorry, there are some more photos, and I apologize. Apparently, I'm not handling this too well. Thank you, Marty. You know, it just continues to happen with me with technology. So you do have a couple of photos here of the stage that is pretty much common across our district, where we have a stage that can access the cafeteria as well as the gym. You can see the curtains and lighting there. The gym is going to be the last piece of the puzzle. It's going to take us probably until November 1st or thereabouts to be able to fully access that. Then we will be able to abandon the old site and begin the demolition. So we're slowly but surely getting everything together, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have about the Maiden project at this time.
When do you expect the cafeteria to start cooking food?
When we discussed it the other day, we felt like around the start of October. We've had water testing and lead testing done throughout the facility to open the building, but we weren't able to do it in the kitchen because the servants' points weren't ready yet. So we'll have to get that testing completed. There'll have to be a departmental inspection from public health to make sure that it is able to do that, but our target date was October 1st or thereabout. Yes, sir.
And I know this is probably what's the timeline? If you access the gym around November 1, when do you think they would complete demolition? So would that be done by the end of the year?
Yes, there will be some asbestos that has to be abated in the old facility, and then the demo, and there's quite a bit of grading work before we create the playground and the bus parking entrance and completing the bus lot. We're hoping somewhere within 6 months, but as we get into rainy season and the fact that we have to do a lot of grading work, not a lot, but some grading work, that could slow the progress. But we're hopeful 6 months or less. Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Mr. Moore? One of the, we looked
Yes,
at
sir.
ribbon cutting.
You know, we haven't. Let me write that down because that is something that we need to complete.
Groundbreaking as well attended. I know that. another one celebration that we can do.
Absolutely. Probably, I would say when we get the gym finished and we can have full access to the whole facility, I think that would be a good time to do it. So I'll begin to sow those seeds at the next construction meeting. Thank you.
Moving on to item number 2 under unfinished business, Ms. Davis will bring us presentation for approval of amended Board of Education policy and administrative procedures. Typically, Board 3.61.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you recall, on June 3rd, the board approved, majority of the board approved of the language that, of inserting the language in Board Policy 3.6100 and Board of Education Administrative Procedure 3.6100, which is redlined on the policy and also in the administrative procedure. That language has already been approved. I am just bringing it before you, showing you the insertion, and asks for your approval of my red line insertions based upon the board's actions on June 3rd.
And I think you've all have seen copies of those.
Yep.
Amended procedures and policies. I'll entertain a motion for approval of that amended board policy and administrative procedures.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this insertion into the policy as Ms. Davis has presented it.
Thank you, Dr. Barnett.
I second the motion.
And any discussion on the amended 3.61 policy or administrative procedure? Hearing none, then I'll call for, we have the motion. All those in favor of approval of the change in policy procedure as presented, signify by raising your hand. All those opposed?
Thank you.
Moving on now to new business, item number 1, the approval of our 2023-2024 audit report. Recognize Finance Officer Paul Hall.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Stover, I respectfully recommend that you approve our 23-24 audit report that you heard a synopsis of earlier today by Mr. Andy Deal.
Thank you. And the board did hear the audit report from the accounting firm. Remind me, Ms. Aldridge.
Anderson, Smith, and White.
Right. And it was a clean report, an exceptional one. There were no problems whatsoever. And we are seeking approval of that audit report. So I will entertain motions to that effect.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve that audit report that was so proudly received and we're proud of.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Thank you, Dr. Barnett, and seconded by Ms. Teague. Any further discussion? All in favor of approval, please signify by raising your hand. And that is unanimous. And again, I think we take for granted just how effectively Ms. Aldridge and her staff manage the monies that we have in our department. And thank you so much.
Thank
The
you.
staff was recognized this morning and they do a wonderful job.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Next item up is approval of owner contract agreement for re-roofing at Maiden Middle School. Mr. Moore.
Yes, sir. Chairman Taylor, members of the board, Dr. Stover, this is purely my oversight. That project is complete. We didn't get signatures on the contract. We approved the bid. Project's done, except for some punch list items, but we do need the contract approved. And I apologize for the late bringing this to you.
You have heard Mr. Moore's request that we approve, do official approval of the contract, which the work has already been done, and I assume successfully.
Successfully, yes.
So I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve, the contract for the, Maiden Middle School re-roofing.
Third,
Second.
motion by Mr. Settlemyer, second by Ms. Teague. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Again, that is a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
And again, Mr. Moore, we'll talk about the approval of train for replacement of the HVAC software updates at Maiden High School.
Only 19 years since we've been in that building and we're having to replace the software for that particular HVAC system. Part and parcel to continuous strain that's placed on budgets, quite honestly, but we need to fully replace the software system there. And you see a proposal from Train in the amount of $48,688.16. Also understand that tax will have to be included with that. That proposal does not include tax, so it will have to be, if you so choose, approve that with tax to be added. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have, but the building automation system there is beginning to fail, and we need to replace it. That's a tough question. We've been at times surprised at how quickly things fail, or surprised even at the quality of systems upon immediately us starting them up. If you remember a couple of years ago at Oxford, we put new chillers in, and 2 of the 6 compressors on the unit were bad when they came from the factory. So we experienced this from time to time. 20 years, hard to say. With software upgrades, I can't really speculate, but I'm hoping that this will be able to resolve some latent issues there. Problem is, this is a new standalone system. It's a new building, newer building. It's easier to actually add something like this than it is a building that has multiple systems. You think about our high schools that have multiple wings, trying to get all of that functioning together is a much more difficult task. So that is the proposal. And again, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. We use Train exclusively within our district so that we have trained technicians that can work pretty much from the same platform.
Good question, Mr. Abernathy. Any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to ask, does the new software have a warranty? Is some of that language there a warranty?
I cannot answer that question, Dr. Barnett.
I didn't know if Mr. Sharp might interpret what provide a 3-year SMP means.
Where did you say?
Like technology talk.
Which bullet were you speaking of, Dr. Barnett? Provide 3-year SMP. I see a limited warranty on item number 12 on page 3 of 9. Defects in material manufactured for a period of 12 months from startup or replacement. Properly performed for a period of 90 days. I wish that I could answer those questions. I'm sorry that I cannot. Well, it appears to be that there is at least a 1-year warranty. It is limited. Free from defects in material and manufacture by the fact that it is software for the most part and a building automation system. A lot of electronic items don't have the warranty we had hoped to have. But I will check on that and provide that information to you. I will find that information out.
So what is the pleasure of the board relative to approval for the software system at Maiden?
I think we should go ahead and move on it. I'd be willing to make the motion that we approve the train proposal that Mr. Moore has presented to us.
Thank you.
Second.
So I have a motion by Dr. Barnett, second by Mr. Settlemyer. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of that proposal for the HVAC software system at Maiden, signify by raising your hand. And that is a unanimous vote.
Thank you. And I will provide that information as soon as it's made available to you. Thank you.
Next up, Marty Sharp will present an approval for a quote for Lightspeed digital instant subscriptions.
All right, my apologies. I had to fix the monitor up here as well. So as presented earlier today, I am standing in front of you asking for approval for the Lightspeed digital insight and equity service. I know we had a few questions. Any other questions come up since then about the product or the service? All right, sounds great. Again, this is a product that will give us insight into every application used. It also provides us what we call digital equity to be able to determine broadband issues with students at home, to give us data to be able to provide Catawba County government, broadband committee, state of North Carolina for future grants with broadband access.
Chairman, I'd make the motion that we approve the quote for Lightspeed.
Thank you.
I second.
We have a motion by Dr. Barnett and approval, and a second by Mr. Settlemyer. All in favor of any questions or comments?
I just wanted to make the comment that I really appreciated the time you took this morning, Mr. Sharp, to really go into what Lightspeed is. I think that's a great use of our work sessions to learn about programs like that, to take the time to educate us on what it is. It helps us to make good decisions and support you. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Not only supporting you, but you can take this to the county commissioners maybe and some other departments to help extend out our internet. Parts of the county that don't have it.
Absolutely, and that's our goal.
Comment, Ms. Steve. Okay. Hearing no other questions or comments, all in favor of the Lightspeed digital insight subscription quote, signify by raising your hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is approval of recommendation for naming of a facility. And we have been petitioned by a group of individuals in the community who have requested and have sent a written request that the curriculum services building, i.e. the old central office building just up the street, be named in honor of former Superintendent Mr. Glenn Barger. And that was presented to the board. Ms. Davis advised us of the procedure around that, and it is a little bit different than the process that would go, say, for example, if you wanted to name a gymnasium after someone, since it is a central office building and not a school building. It's a slightly different process. But we discussed that today, and Mr. Barger has been contacted He's indicated that if it were named that, he would be honored and humbled to accept that. So at this time, I'll invite any questions or comments relative to that.
I think we agreed, as the letter states, that the name would be the Glenn E. Barger Building. Is that correct? Is that
That
what
is
the board agreed on?
So it'd be something like, and don't quote me on this, the Curriculum and Instructional Services Department at the Glenn E. Barger Building. That way, if it ever became the Technology Center, it would still be the Glenn Barger Building. Wouldn't need to rename it accordingly. Yeah, thank you for that clarification. I will entertain a motion for this board to approve that request.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make the motion that we approve the naming of the facility, the Glenn E. Barger Building, as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Abernathy, and second by Ms. Teague. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of naming the facility in honor of Mr. Barger signify by raising your hand. And again, that is unanimous. Thank you.
Chairman Taylor, I was just to add on to that, or I want to thank Mr. Barger for his mentorship of myself as the superintendent in this county. He has been alongside me the whole time, and I'm very thankful for him and his family. Been very good to me and past knowledge of what we've done, and kind of just been a great mentor. So I'm thankful, and would certainly be willing to work on planning a naming ceremony. Thank you, and we can work together on that. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Again, I think many of us here have a history with Mr. Barger, either as students under his leadership, educational professionals, and also he served our county as a commissioner, along with being the superintendent of schools. So a gentleman who's devoted many years of service to Catawba County. And I think, thank you, board, for this honor for Mr. Barger. Item number 6 on our agenda is the approval of the 2024 voting delegates for the North Carolina School Boards Association conference. And at our meeting this morning, it was designated that Dr. Barnett, Ms. Teague, Ms. Richards, and myself would be the named voting delegates, with our remaining board members being listed as alternates in the event that one of the 4 for some reason could not attend. So we had that discussion and made that so, but we do need to officially act on that. So at this time, I will entertain a motion for approval of those voting delegates.
Make that motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sigmund, for the motion, and Ms. Teague for the second. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the 2024 voting delegates for the North Carolina School Boards Association Conference signify by raising your hand. Again, that is unanimous. Thank you. Next item on our agenda this morning, we had a little fun working through this one because we are embarking on an area that this board has never done before, and that is creating an evaluation instrument that will be used annually for self-study by the board to help the board, just like educational professionals have to seek to be continuously improving at their craft. The board is working toward that. And again, I would like to thank Mr. Settlemeyer, Dr. Barnett, and Ms. Teague for their work in coming up with the goals that we have. We identified a framework or roadmap, if you will, to help us with each of the goals on that list. At this point, we've just got that as a rough draft. So from here, the process that we discussed this morning was that as board chair, I will assign each board member 2 goals to work on identifying steps or action steps toward achieving. You'll put this in a Google document that we will all work on. And then when we come back together again in our meeting in October for our work session, we will continue to move toward completing this document so that when a new board is impaneled in December, it will have that as an operating framework. So at this point, we just need a motion to approve that process that I just laid out.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve that framework we looked at this morning and follow the plan where you will assign goals for us to work on and bring back at the October work session.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, excuse me.
I second.
Thank you, sir. I saw you sitting on go down there. You've heard the motion and the second by Dr. Barnett and Mr. Settlemeyer. Any further questions or comments relative to the board evaluation instrument? Hearing none, all in favor of that process signify by raising your hand. Have unanimous vote on that. Item number 7, item number 8 is again an area that is something that we have not done heretofore in this board's history, and that is to create an evaluation instrument for our board attorney, similar to that we use with our superintendent and all of our educational professionals. No such official document actually exists. So what this board has done to this point is glean from evaluation instruments that other boards have, and we have put together identified goals and processes that we will look at. But right now that we are still in the developmental process of that instrument. And so this morning when we looked at that and discussed it, we agreed that we think the next best step would have that instrument vetted by one of the attorneys at the North Carolina School Boards Association to look at its validity, legality, all of the other things. And then once that's approved, then we would begin discussions with our board attorney about how that could become part of her evaluation process. Because essentially it would be asking to insert an evaluation document into a contract which she's already under. So I think there would actually have to be some negotiation with that. So I seek this board's approval for presenting that to the School Boards Association for their oversight and suggestions.
I make a motion that we, and what we have now,
Thank you, Mr. Settlemeyer, for the motion.
I'll second that motion.
And Mr. Abernathy, thank you, sir. Any further discussion or comment?
I'd like to ask who will send it to NCSB?
As board chair, I think once we get the document ready, I will forward that to either Ramona or the appropriate person at the School Board Association by week's end.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Number 9 on our list is approval of the Juntos Agreement. And Ms. Davis is going to tell us about that.
So, as you.
Oh, excuse me. I'm getting my cart before my horse.
Oh.
I was advised, even though we have a motion and a second on the table, we've not voted on it.
Oh, sorry.
So all in favor of sending the instrument to the School Boards Association, signify by raising your hand. Thank you. And thank you for the clarification, Ms. Wetson. My apologies,
Yeah,
Ms.
that's
Davis.
fine. So the next matter is the approval of the 24-25 Juntos Agreement. The Juntos program, as you know, is a very successful program. Is it still out of St. Stephen's? There's no more than one school now? Art and St. Stephen's. It is the brainchild of North Carolina State University and the Catawba County Cooperative Extension, the 4-H program. It is designed to help lift up and support members of the community who are again, I don't want to get this wrong. To work with the Juntos family workshops, 2.5-hour workshops once a week for 5 middle school students. I think I'm moving something on here. That's right. That's him. Bringing together partners from schools, teachers, guidance counselors, and local community partners to help families gain the knowledge, skills, and resources they need to effectively engage in their child's academics, make high school graduation a family goal, and aspire for higher education. And so the school, there's a coordinator, and the school school system actually works with these families and the Catawba County Cooperative Extension and the 4-H Club in actually lifting up and supporting those families towards those goals. I will tell you that at the last minute today, I have one adjustment to this agreement, and that is in paragraph 11. I did not realize that the cooperative extension is self-insured. And so in paragraph 11, we had that all parties are required to name each other as an additional insured under any policies of insurance, and immediately upon execution furnish to each other a certificate of such insurance. They don't have any such thing because they're self-insured. So I'm advising that we agree on paragraph 11 to literally mark out, remove the second and third sentences and leave everything else in. And we'll still have failure to furnish insurance certificates. It just won't require those other things on it. They still have to have insurance, whether they're self-insured or not. But
Did remove the second and third sentence?
yeah, on paragraph 11, second and third. So the first will remain the same as far as the insurance requirement. It's just that they are self-insured. Other than that, I'm asking for approval of this agreement for this school year, and the effective date is beginning August 1st.
You have heard the request by Ms. Davis with the noted corrections to paragraph 11.
I would like to make a motion, we approve the attorney's advice and remove in section paragraph 11, remove sentences 2 and 3, wasn't it?
2 and 3.
Mr. Settlemeyer has made that motion,
I second the motion.
and the motion is seconded by Dr. Barnett. Any further questions or comments?
I would just like to say that this is a really good program. I think they have a 100% graduation rate out of Juntos.
I don't know, but I think they do. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I've been to their graduations for 2 years now, and I mean, it's like a big family up there. You go, you get fed. They get up and talk about everybody, a little bit about every graduate that's there. And it's a community effort up there. It really is. I'm glad to see this.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be the principal at H.M. Martin Middle School when the program began. Again, I was just there, but the 4-H and the school system partnered. It's a perfect example of one of those partnerships that helps everyone. So I agree 100%. So all in favor of, we have the motion and we've had comments, all in favor of approval of the Juntos agreement as adjusted by Ms. Davis, signify by raising your hand. And that is unanimous. Item number 10 is approval of proposed amendments to Catawba County Board of Education policies relative to Title IX. And this was referenced in public comment. So Ms. Davis.
Yes, as the board recalls, we talked considerably about the new 2024 Title IX regulations and the quandary really Catawba County schools and North Carolina schools are in light of the Kansas lawsuit, which has the judge has literally enjoined the U.S. Department of Education from enforcing the 2024 regulations in certain public schools in North Carolina, only certain ones. We have 11 of our schools that are on the list that has been filed with the court. I am not asking for approval of these proposed amendments tonight. Today, we actually talked about the structure of these 2024 regs and the fact that the Catawba County Schools is going to be simultaneously obliged to comply with 2020 regs for the schools that are on the list and the 2024 regs for the schools that are not on the list. Otherwise, in the event we are found not in compliance, or if the board refuses to enact the proposed policy changes and to comply with Title IX, then we run the risk of losing at least approximately $20 million in federal funding. So what I'm asking for tonight is that the board had very healthy discussion about how the board wants me to prepare these policies to present to the board. I'm not asking for approval of any policies. I'm asking for direction on whether I should prepare a set of policies for the 2020 Title IX regulations, the schools that are bound under those policies, which will require some minimal adjusting, and the 2024 regulations for those schools that are bound by the 2024 regulations or subject to the 2024 regulations. I'm asking for the board to approve direction of me actually preparing both for presentation in the Board of Commissioners.
Again, as Ms. Davis indicated, we had a rather robust discussion. My way of looking at it, it's not whether I agree with Title IX or don't agree with Title IX, whether I agree with the Trump 2020 guidelines or the Biden 2024. What I said and what I believe that it's incumbent on us that we right now, the court has left us hanging. We got half our school, or roughly half our schools under one mandate, one half of our schools under the other mandate. It would be a crime on our behalf if we didn't do our due diligence and cover our bases until the court makes up its mind. We're just covering, I say it's like we're using a spare until you can get the real tire put on. Because we stand in danger of losing federal funds if someone brings a lawsuit claiming that we're not enforcing Title IX and whatever provision they fall under. Shouldn't be put in this position, right? I agree with the frustration that several of my colleagues expressed, but I would rather cover our bases, or at least have Ms. Davis present us an option to cover our bases so that we don't lose any portion of any share of any federal dollars that we get. That's just my 2 cents. I'll leave it up.
Thanks, well stated.
I just want to say, from our discussion earlier, I mean, I don't like being in this predicament either. However, there are other school boards or other school districts that are just sitting back and just waiting to see what happens within our actual system as far as the law goes and the lawsuits. My thing is that I feel that we do have more schools. I know that we're right now just showing 11 schools that are actually showing up as far as like the list, but we do have more schools out there. I intend to take further, do further action on that to find out why our other schools are not showing up on that list. And hopefully by the next time that we come to this board meeting, that we will have every one of our schools listed on that list so that we can be exempt from this Title IX action. With that said, I guess we don't have any other recourse except to abide by the rules, as I guess with the laws. We still fall under, for the Title IX 2020. But however, until we get something resolved, I guess we don't have any other choice.
A couple clarifications. One, we're going to be bound under Title IX either way. It's just a matter of if it's the narrow definition laid down by the Trump administration in 2020 or the broader definition laid down by the Biden administration in 2024. Title IX was authorized, by the way, in 1972 initially. This is nothing new. But I think toward Ms. Teague's point, it would not be a bad idea to have our attorney present us an option for a plan that could cover both bases. And who knows, maybe by the time we get back here next month, the court's made a decision and this is all an exercise that it becomes moot. So I want to make that clarification. Title IX is Title IX. It's just a matter of which definition that you're applying to make it happen. Anyone else? I'll open up the floor.
I mean, I would like to make a motion to, say that the schools that have been listed or might be added to the list be under the 2020. If you come up with policies for that, and then the new policies for the schools that aren't on the list yet, 2024 regulations. I'd like to see both of those, please. That would be my motion.
Thank you.
I second that.
Motion by Mr. Settlemeyer, second by Mr. Abernathy. Any, Ms. Teague, further comment? Or again, this is not that we're favoring one or the other over the other, not that we're trying to, rally for either one. This is just covering our bases until the court makes its mind up. So Ms. Davis, all in favor of that motion signify by raising your hand. Ms. Davis, if you would bring that to us in October or whenever we meet again. Thank you. As Dr. Stover alluded to earlier, we had a closed session between the end of our work session and the beginning of this meeting. So there is no need for closed session. We did have a number of personnel requests presented during the closed session. And so at this time, we will vote on those. Dr. Barnett has asked to be recused from voting on Alyssa McCrary. So I need a motion that would recuse Dr. Barnett.
Make a motion.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of recusing Dr. Barnett, signify by raising your hand. Thank you. So this time, all those in favor of the contract of Alyssa McCrary, except for Dr. Barnett, signify by raising your hand. We have that. Did I do that appropriately, counsel? Yes, and to clarify, that was a coaching position, not a full-time certified. Right. Thanks, sir. All right, we have a motion and a second. Now, Ms. Teague had the second on that initially. Now, in favor of Ms. McCrary. Thank you. Gotta love, somewhere Roberts is just so happy. Now I will entertain a motion for approval of all the other personnel requests.
I make a motion, we approve all the other personnel requests.
Second.
That is excluding Ms. McCrary, and Dr. Barnett is now able to vote on this. So all in favor of approval of personnel requests, signify by raising your hand. Thank you, and that is unanimous. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
I think Mr. Sigmund beat you to the punch there, Mr.
Which
Abernathy. Mr. Sigmund for the motion, Mr. Abernathy for second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We stand adjourned.